So you might get a message if you are familiar with Zoom that I think might say recording in session. So, okay, well, let's get started. Good evening again, everyone. I'm Dr. Scott Hunt. I'm the adjunct professor for the course Equity-Centered Leadership. And so what I hope to do with the Zoom meeting is just kind of give you a course overview. I'll give you some background about myself, and then I want to talk a little bit through the course and make sure that you understand where to go and what the expectations are. These are 5-week courses. Is it safe to assume that for you, if you're on, this is only your second course? Is that accurate? Okay. So I don't know if you had assessment strategies or one of the other ones first. But obviously, not every professor conducts course the same way. So I want to make sure that you understand kind of where we're at and how we'll go about things and how I work the course. So as I said, Scott Hunt, I'm currently the executive director, the unit of field relations at the Ohio Department of Education. And I've been in this role almost 4 years. I'm a former superintendent. I'm in Ohio, obviously, and so in Northeast Ohio, close to Lake Erie, but spent almost 6 years as a local school superintendent in a small rural district, Middlefield, Ohio, which is actually in the center of the 4th largest Amish settlement in the world. Very interesting little place. I live in Perry, Ohio, and if you're not Ohio native, I apologize, but Perry, Ohio is known for its nuclear power plant. And so probably the glow you see behind me is from many years of living in Perry. But I spent 15 years at Perry. Last year I was there as director of college and career readiness. I was a middle school principal for 5 years, a high school assistant for 5, and a high school counselor for 4. And then I taught school in Beechwood City, which is an outer ring district, a small wealthy district outside of Cleveland. Spent a year in Cleveland and started my career in Naples, Florida. I taught elementary school. So what I hope in sharing that is that some of those experiences can provide you with some insight into some of the things that you'll do in the course. So I'm going to stop there real quick because we have a small group. I am just going to call your name, and if you would just share your name, what state you're from, and whether or not you're kind of pursuing a leadership role through the program. So, John, you're directly first on my screen, and I already gathered that you might be an Ohio guy.
I am absolutely an Ohio guy. My name is John Karani. I actually went to Eastlake North High School, which Perry is not all that far from me. And
15 minutes.
my dad actually graduated from Perry many, many years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm absolutely looking at getting into leadership at some point. I'm 15 years into my current education career, I guess. I've been teaching elementary phys ed for 15 years. I've loved every minute of it, but I just don't know if it's something that I want to do for another 20 years. Doing one thing for 35 years is a really, really long time. And I'm thinking maybe, if I put a map out there in the next 5 to 8 years, I'd really like to take that next step and move into that leadership role and see how much more I can change the state of education in at least my area or in my bubble.
Thanks, John. Jordan?
Hello. Okay. I'm from Illinois, from Springfield, Illinois, but I currently live in St. Louis, but I still teach technically on the Illinois side because I teach in East St. Louis.
Okay.
I do want to pursue like leadership role, but I've only been teaching for 3 years, so I'm pretty fresh. Like I feel like with the pandemic and everything, I haven't had like pre-COVID really. So this is like the first year where it's like don't have to wear masks and we haven't been virtual yet, fingers crossed. So I think I'm gonna give myself some time before I push, into the leadership spot. But I thought might as well get my studies done now, especially while I don't have a whole lot of responsibility going on. Yeah, that's a lot about me.
Thank you, Jordan.
You're
Daisy?
welcome.
I'm Daisy Warren. I'm in Florida, where we're super excited to have, below 80 for one of our first times so far this year. I am on year 18. I spent 10 in high school math, and I'm on year 8 of virtual middle school math.
Mm.
My role right now is, I guess I'm gonna call myself a support teacher. The structure of virtual school is not typical. So I have a principal and I am a support teacher underneath her. And then I have 9 teachers under me that I'm kind of responsible for to help and support. But excited to pursue official ed leadership degrees so that I can continue to move positions and find ways to support, because I didn't know I wanted to do that, but as I've gotten into this, it's by far an amazing experience.
Great. Thanks, Daisy. Christine?
Hi there. I apologize for the camera off. I am on my commute home. I am in my 14th year in education. I am an elementary teacher by training, and I spent 6 years in the classroom, and then I'm in my 9th year as an instructional coach in a preschool through 8th grade school district outside of Chicago. I'm in the north-ish suburbs. So I'm excited for this program to grow some leadership opportunities that I kind of already have in this like in-between space position, and then to see where it takes me.
Thanks, Christine. Erin?
Hi, I'm Erin Tucker. I live in Show Low, Arizona, and I'm on my 14th year of teaching. I'm currently at an alternative school. I'm the lead teacher there, and actually in about 2 hours, I'm being named interim admin at our board meeting. So I'll be heading there after this. We're a very small school. There's one counselor, myself, the teacher / admin, and then we have a paraprofessional. We have about 30 kids in person and 70 something online, and they do all of their learning through Edgenuity.
Interesting. So what time is it where you're at? Like 2 o'clock?
4 p.m.
4 o'clock. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Eastern Standard here.
No problem.
But thank you, Erin. Carol?
Hi there, my name is Carol Hightower. I am in my 13th year of teaching. I've been a special education teacher those entire 13 years. I've taught in a variety of different places: Chicago Public Schools on the south side, out in Portland, Oregon, just outside of there. And then most recently, right now, I'm in a fairly large suburban school district right on the Mississippi River. We have about, the middle school that I work at, we have about 1,107 students. And I work in a co-taught classroom right now, 5th grade ELA.
Great. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so first let me say it's so incredibly important that we start to fill the pipeline with leaders. So I appreciate that you are going to continue, learning and on this pathway. I've been with ACE now almost 4 years, and some might say, how do you really get through it when it's all virtual? But I found at least in my experiences with ACE is that the courses are somewhat challenging. You're going to think. And because you're in kind of this 5-week cadence of courses, things go fast. And so if that was surprising for you in your first class, maybe as you head into this one, the 5 weeks is really more about how you manage your time. And so we're going to talk through some of the things that hopefully will help you along the way in this course. And again, I appreciate that you are taking kind of that leap to move into the next step. We're short all over, and in Ohio, this is one of the things that we talk about. How are we going to attract and retain employees? I'll just say employees, because it's not just leaders, it's teachers, it's bus drivers, it's cafeteria support staff. So we have a shortage in the field, and we have to take advantage of the opportunity. And so hang in there. It might be tough, but hang in there. You will get through the course you will get through the program, and then I can guarantee you there will be roles for you to fill in the future. All right, so I'm going to share my screen because I want to, and so I'm in my office, so I got a laptop and 2 screens, so I don't know what you're going to see when I hit share. So let me see if I can navigate this. I think, okay, it's hard for me to tell what you can see. Can you see the course Equity Centered Leadership? You can. And can you see the course Equity Centered Leadership now? Or no?
It looks like we're seeing welcome and tips for success.
Okay, that's not what I want you to see. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. I'm going to reshare. Forgive me. All right. I feel like this is very messy looking, but can you now see just one tab with the course in it? Okay, so let's walk through this. So as I said, the cadence for the courses, it's 5 weeks. It goes fast. And I would point out that you should look at the announcements every week. And I'm going to tell you how I do these. It is really kind of a little bit repetitive of what you see in the assignments and in the discussion board explanation. But I do that because I think the repetition for many is useful. So when you're reading through it, if you don't want to read it out of the assignment, look at the announcement. In the announcements, I put exemplars in each of these so that when you're questioning, I don't know how to set this up. What is this supposed to look like? What's he looking for? I've provided in when you get to the the modules, not the discussion boards, but the modules for the application analysis, you're going to see some resources in there. And so I'm going to click on that first announcement. You can see there's a clickable link to the equity tool. When you scroll down, there is a copy of it in a Word document. Previous courses have said I can't access or fill out the PDF. So I've got it in there also as a Word document. And then you'll see at the bottom, this is the exemplar. If you click on this, this is what your first paper should look like. Now, I will point out that as I put here in this executive summary portion of the paper, I've plugged in some things here that I should see in the paper that might not directly match up with what you read in that rubric. So, but I do grade on the rubric, and you'll see in most of the assignments that the rubric is fairly set forth and what is being asked. And so I do apply that to what it is you're to do, because the concept in the rubric is basically what it is you should have in your paper. So I would encourage you every week, look at the announcements, especially the ones about application or analysis, because I plug in some additional items. Okay. So that's announcements. The other very handy piece here, and it may have been John, you may have asked me about the calendar and how this works and when it opens. And the calendar, you can see on my view, and I'm not sure if it looks exactly like that in the student view, but in my view, you can see we've got the scheduled Zoom meeting up here. But when we kick into this very first week, on Friday, you should make sure you post your first discussion response. That's the initial one. And then when you read in the announcements, you'll see you have Saturday and Sunday to respond to 2 peers. And so that'll be the cadence each week. So you'll do discussion boards. Your first response is in that by that first Friday, excuse me. And then your module 1 discussion, you'll see, your application, you will see is listed at Monday due at 2:59 a.m. Well, guess what? At midnight, 12:01, it's Monday. And so I just want to point that out as you're looking at your calendar, that you really only have Sunday night and a couple wee hours into the morning of Monday to post those assignments when you have that due time by 2:59. These are set up by the course in ACE. I don't believe I can modify any of those, nor should I be, but those are the times. So just pay attention to that in the calendar. All right, so I'll stop there. Any questions on announcements, calendar and kind of the cadence of the course. Okay, sufficient wait time. I'm going to move on to the next piece. I'm not going to pull this up and read it, but I want to point this out to you if you've not seen the syllabus. It's fairly lengthy, but I want to point out two things here. And you're going to see this each week for your assignments that are submitted. If you are late, there is an automatic 10% runoff in the course. So if you are late by 0.5 days, it's going to calculate it automatically. And so however I grade it, even if you got a perfect score in my grading, you're going to get a deduction at 10% per day. So just be aware of that. And I want to say this, I get it. We're all busy. I'm still in my office. I haven't left yet to go do whatever I might do, maybe sleep tonight. Things are going to come up that are extenuating. And so if you have an extenuating circumstance and you reach out, likely I can provide you with kind of a penalty-free extension, typically 24 hours. Now, extenuating. I fell and broke my leg. I'm in the hospital. That's extenuating. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to post it because I overslept. That's not extenuating. So extenuating circumstances, please reach out. I can be as flexible as necessary if something has come up that has impacted your ability to get the assignment in on time. Certainly, there's like I said, the penalty for late, but I don't want to penalize you when there was no way that you could get it in. So if you do have a question or you might face something, just reach out, shoot me an email, use the Canvas inbox, which is this inbox over here. Use that first. You can use my ACE email, but typically I don't get alerted there. I get alerted in the Canvas inbox. Or if necessary, I put my cell phone in each of those announcements. Feel free to text if you need to, call if you absolutely need to. The other piece in here I want to point out, and I've had to do this on several occasions. You're in a master's level course that is going to require you to be highly ethical and professional. Do not plagiarize. Plagiarism gets reported back to ACE, and they take action when necessary, sometimes leading up to, you can't participate anymore. Plagiarism happens when you take someone else's work. I know you know this, but I want to say it so you hear it. You take somebody else's work, you don't cite that work, and you use it as your own. I've had students do that. I've also had students take previous course papers, upload them into Turnitin, which you're required to do, the Turnitin, which will flag for duplicated efforts, and I do look at that. And there are going to be some instances in here where you're going to plug in and you're going to freak out because it says 78%, and you're going to think, oh my God, I've plagiarized. But we use some templates and things in here that everyone uses that you're going to get that Turnitin score at a high percentage. So as you think through that, I want you to freak out when you see a 60 or 70%, especially on the equity audit, because you have to turn that audit in as part of your first submission, and you're going to get a very high Turnitin score. I can tell you that right now. But if you're concerned, of course, reach out and I'll make sure that I talk you through that you're likely okay, because it is a template that is out there and has been used. Okay. Question on late or plagiarism. Okay. I want to talk about grading. And you're not going to see much here, but the grade book. So I do grading in several ways. So I'm going to explain this to you, but also point you to the announcements. I put a video in one of those announcements. I think it's titled Grading and Feedback. I would suggest that you just watch that, but let me walk you through how I do this. When I go in and grade, first I'm going to tell you, yes, I'm a bit of a stickler for APA format. You're in a master's program, you have to kind of nail your APA formatting. I have an exemplar of what your papers should look like in APA format. Follow that to a T and you'll be okay. So I'll grade in the grade book. In the assignment, I mean, I get to see your paper and I am able to make comments on your paper. And I will do that. I'll make comments on your paper. And typically those are the formatting comments. In the rubric, it's on my end clickable. I click on the points, but if you have something missing, or if there's something that you should be addressing differently, I'll put that in the rubric feedback portion of the grade. And then there's a general comment section. And this is typically where I make my comments about the paper, which is probably more specific feedback around what you've written than what you'll see in the paper itself or in the rubric. Does that make sense? And again, I'm not exactly sure what you view, and if you viewed that grading and feedback in the previous course, it's very much the same. And in one of the announcements, there's a video that I link you to that shows you how to find that feedback. And of course, if you have questions about something, then you should ask. One thing that we don't do because of the 5-week cadence of courses is you don't turn it in, I give you feedback and you fix it and turn it back in. You are really kind of under this calendar. So you submit and then I'll provide feedback that'll hopefully set you up for the next assignment to make improvements. So I'll stop there. Any questions about grades, grading, feedback, etc.? Perfect. And then I think I want to take a quick second here, and I want to talk about the expectations for formatting. And just again, so that you see it, I want to point this out to you. This APA 7 written assignment template, when you click on that, you're going to get the template for how you should set up your papers. And so I'm going to take just a couple minutes to walk through this, because I want to point out some things that you are really required to have in the papers that you write. And before I do that, I'm going to say two things. There are several assignments where you're going to write something in this format, and there are a couple where you're going to do a PowerPoint presentation with some supporting documents that you're not going to do it like the paper, okay? But there are requirements for the format. So the formatting pieces should be the same. And I'll point specifically to references. In APA, it's not resources, it's references, and your references should be found as citations in your writing, even in a presentation. And so again, we can talk through that when we get a little further down in this paper. But you're going to really be required in this class to do a couple of things. One is the written kind of formatted paper like this, and the other is presentations. So this is exactly how your title page should look. All of these papers should have a page number in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll notice just kind of how it's laid out. The title of the paper is in bold. You'll also notice there's no running head or headers. So if you were doing that in the previous course, you shouldn't be using those for your format. And then you should have these elements here. Again, I won't point out every single word, but you can read this when you have an opportunity. The other piece I point out here is only if needed, put a subtitle. Don't use the word introduction here. The title of the paper here is the same exact title of the paper here. So if your title of your first assignment says equity audit, then the heading here is equity audit. So just make sure those match up. You have to have an introduction paragraph to your paper. Never start your papers with charts, tables, graphs, figures. Always lead in with an introduction paragraph. And then you'll see how the headings kind of pan out. You're likely only to use level 1 and level 2, but others, can expand into the level 3, 4, and 5 headings. But most likely you'll be at level 1, which are centered and bold, and level 2, which are left aligned and bold. And then the other thing that you have to have in your papers is a conclusion. You should always have some kind of synthesis of what you've learned in the application, some concluding statement, sentence, paragraph or two about the work that you've just done. So all papers should have a strong conclusion about what it is you found. And you should have a conclusion section with the heading conclusion. Here's where APA gets a little tricky for folks, and I don't have every single example in the template, but you can go again in the APA announcement and go to the OWL site, the Purdue OWL site, and they have great explanation for APA formatting, especially around references and how to handle some things. So you have to have, let me go down here, 3 to 5 references for every paper, every presentation, 3 to 5 scholarly references. So you're allowed to use the course materials, but you probably shouldn't use 3 of the videos as your scholarly references for your paper or your presentation. You should be also looking for outside journal articles, peer-reviewed writings that are out there, journals, etc. So your references need to look like this, and you'll see that every line after the first line is kind of indented from the left margin. They should be in alphabetical order by author's last name. Never use a first name, only the first initial. And then every reference that you have, if you have 3 references, I should find them as citations. There should be 3 citations or more with the 3 references that you have. If you have 10 references, there should be 10 citations in your work. Make sense? And then I just want to scroll up to the references. So first of all, I would just encourage you to look at how you do direct quotes and long quotes on that OWL site. It's often something folks run into as a challenge. I'd also point out here, anytime you have 3 or more authors, you write that citation in this manner, the author's last name and then et al. With a period and a comma. If you're in parentheses, it looks different if it's not in parentheses. It's just et al. Period and then the year in parentheses. Ooh, I just got a meeting warning. Why is it over in 10 minutes? I thought I scheduled for an hour. That's interesting. If you just have a single person, author, then you use the author's last name and the year. Don't forget the year. And sometimes there's a year where there's no date, and it's N.D. no date. And then if you have a 2 authors, and because in this example it's in parentheses, you're going to use an ampersand. But if you didn't put it in parentheses, if you just said Robbins and Judge 2018, you would use the word and then the year would be in parentheses. So there's some little nuances in the formatting piece that I would just encourage you. These are kind of the most common ones. Look at the OWL Purdue site for that. So that's kind of the template for the actual papers that you should submit. It should look just like this. And then when you do the presentations, just make sure you carry over kind of the references piece and that you cite those references in your slides. And again, once we get down the path here in week 3, 4, and 5, you'll see a little bit more about that. Okay, I am going to go back to the home screen here. I don't think there's anything else for me, so I saw we get the 10-minute warning. So I'll stop, and if you have questions or if there's something I can address for you or I wasn't clear about, please feel free to chime in and ask.
I do have a question. I was looking for the transcripts for the media gallery items. I was previously able to get them on all one PDF, and now it's like I have to individually get them for each video. I just don't remember how I got it for the whole course.
Well, that is a great question. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, so once you go into, we'll say module 1, and then you would go into each individual video and have to scroll down and get the transcript through there.
Gotcha.
But for some reason, I had it in the other courses where I could put in, like, I would be able to see the whole transcript for all the modules.
Oh, interesting.
And sorry, can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think you put this already on an announcement maybe, because I was able to download them all on one. But if I can't find it, I have it as a PDF. I can always email it to you if you put your email in the chat.
I will definitely do that. Thank you so much.
Because I had to do it individually last course, and I found it on one of your discussion posts. I think
And I think I found it on my last professor's discussion post. And so
Okay.
I went back to that person and I couldn't find it again. So that will be very helpful.
absolutely.
Thank you. That's exactly why we're meeting. Thank you, because I don't always have all the answers. So I'm glad you could answer that for us. Thank you. Other questions? I'm not hearing other questions, so I'm going to stop sharing. And recheck chat. Oh, Carol's email is in the chat.
If anyone else can't find it and wants it, I can send it to you guys as well.
Or if you also want to send it to me, I can push it out to the class.
I can do that as well. I'll do it right now.
Okay.
The only other thing I was going to say, I was seeing some different, we'll say dates due for assignments. Some were saying Monday, others were saying Sunday for
Yep.
the assignments. So I wasn't sure, but you answered that. I believe they're all due, we'll say by midnight on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, the time in the calendar, and I would ask you, don't look at the big count. Like on my view, there's a calendar item, but in the course view, there's also a calendar, and that calendar has all the due dates and times.
Perfect.
And
Thanks.
so I would look at that, yeah. But you're right. It says Monday at 2:59 a.m. Hopefully we're all sleeping at that point and have done the work beforehand and have it posted already. So which really means you're doing it Sunday, prior to midnight. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep the group any longer. Again, use the Canvas inbox. Feel free to reach out, email. I try to be as responsive as I possibly can be. And I wish you the best of luck over the next 5 weeks. It will fly by. I'm sure you saw that with the first course. So, and we're going to hit the holiday season too. So pace yourself. Let me stop recording.